Hey basketball guys, we have news. Let's go to more news from the Golden State Warriors, but before that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. Jonathan Kuminga has resurfaced and is giving star performances. The player is playing at a high level in the last 2 games, and if he maintains this pace, the Warriors will need to compensate if it is worth trading him for a star. Kuminga is involved in several issues regarding being traded due to which he was underperforming. But with today's show against the Phoenix Suns, his concept has risen with the fans. Will Jonathan Kuminga be traded to another team? Or will it be the best for us Warriors? Jonathan Kuminga leads Warriors past Suns for much-needed win. Jonathan Kuminga dropped his second straight 34-point game. One night after playing what Steve Kerr thought was his best game as a pro, Jonathan Kuminga one-upped himself. Kuminga matched his career high with 34 points and spent the fourth quarter hounding Kevin Durant on defense. In a tie game with 2 minutes left, the Warriors executed. Dennis Schroeder, who struggled most of the night, nailed his first big shot as a Warrior, a go-ahead 30-footer. Then he tapped the ball out of Kevin Durant's hands for a turnover. Kuminga drilled 2 foul shots to retake a 1-point lead with 29 seconds left, and the Warriors got one last stop. After Schroeder foul shots, Kuminga sealed the game with a contested defensive rebound and free throw. Kuminga scored 13 of his 34 points in the fourth quarter, shooting 12-4-20 overall, plus 8-4-12 from the foul line. He outdueled Durant, 31 points, 8 turnovers, and dragged the Warriors, 16-15, over the top for a much-needed win. In the battle of aging .500 Western Conference teams, the Warriors outlasted Phoenix, 109-105. Kuminga, Tracy Jackson-Davis, 16 points, 10 rebounds, and Draymond Green, 16 first-half points, helped the Warriors close on an 8-2 run. The video player is currently playing an ad. Continue watching. California Finals Rodeo starts Sunday after the ad. Kerr spent a chunk of his pre-game press conference talking about figuring out how to get Kuminga to play like he did on Friday night in games with Steph Curry and Draymond Green. It was a main topic of his coaches' meeting and hits at arguably the central question of the franchise: how much can Kuminga help now, and how much better can he get in the future? Against the Lakers and earlier this season against Houston, when Curry and Green sat, Kuminga had his 2 best games. Bottling that type of force alongside the Warriors' tentpoles, rather than independent of them, can get the Warriors back on track. I have no doubt he's going to get there, Kerr said. He works hard, he's talented, he wants it. It's just nothing more than experience and feeling all this stuff. It doesn't happen right away. Halfway through the first quarter, Kuminga entered in a small ball lineup with Green at center. On cue, the mix looked as lethal as it has all season. Kuminga got downhill against a mismatch, created by an inverted screen, for a layup. Curry found him on a drive-and kick for a corner 3. Then Curry and Green ran a pick-and-roll, ending with Kuminga cutting from the baseline for the patented Golden State alley-oop out of the short roll. Upon Kuminga's entrance, the Warriors went on a 10-1 run. Kuminga scored 10 points in his first 5 minutes and finished with 12 in the first period. The Warriors lost their momentum with 6 quick turnovers to start the second quarter, after giving just 1 away in the first, but regained their footing when they went small again, with Green at center and Kuminga next to him. Curry scored 15 points in the first half, including a magical buzzer beater in which he went around the world and flung up a 17-foot floater while fading to his left. Durant and the Suns tried to slow the game down from its hellacious pace, but the Warriors turned Phoenix over to get out on the break. Kuminga fed Schroeder for a fast break layup and then later flexed after bowling over Bradley Beal in the post for a bucket. When the Warriors gave Kuminga all the car keys, sitting both Green and Curry to close the quarter, the Suns went on an 11-3 run. The lineup of Kuminga, Schroeder, Buddy Hield, Lindy Waters III, and Jackson Davis clearly failed on both ends. The Warriors would have had Brandon Podziemski out there, but he strained his lower abdominal muscle. Needing a lift in the fourth, Kuminga stepped up. On back-to-back defensive possessions, he stood his ground in isolation against Durant. And on the other end both times, he finished at the rim. That combination cut Phoenix's lead to 100-95 with 5:22 left. With Kuminga face-guarding Durant and the Warriors playing help defense behind him any time he caught it, they took the Suns out of their go-to offense. Curry hit a floater in the lane, then Schroeder finally got to the cup for a layup. Kuminga stripped Durant again and got to the line to give the Warriors a 101-100 lead with 3:28 left. Curry had a pair of good looks with under a minute left to earn some breathing room, but he misfired on a three and was too strong on a runner. After 2 Durant free throws, Kerr called timeout to draw up a play with 29.9 seconds, down 1. It worked, with Kuminga earning foul shots. Just about everything worked for Kuminga, who matched the career-high mark he set a night prior. Warriors make injury announcement during Suns game. The Golden State Warriors fell to the LA Clippers on Friday night, but are right back in action against the Phoenix Suns on Saturday. Golden State's loss to LA came at Intuit Dome in Inglewood, and the second half of the back-to-back is at Chase Center in San Francisco. Steph Curry missed Friday night's game with bilateral knee injury management, but returned to the starting lineup on Saturday. Draymond Green also missed the Clippers game, but returned alongside Curry against Phoenix. While the Warriors got Curry and Green back against the Suns, they lost their key player during the game. The Warriors announced that second-year guard Brandon Podziemski suffered a lower abdominal strain and would not return to the game. Via Warriors PR, Brandon Podziemski, lower abdominal strain, will not return to tonight's game. Podziemski has had an up-and-down second NBA season, but turned in a solid performance against the Clippers. Scoreless in 11 minutes on Saturday, Podziemski's night ended without him scoring a single point. The Warriors were outscored by 17 points in Podziemski's 11 minutes, as the young guard was struggling to impact the game in a positive way. Despite this, the Warriors certainly hope he can avoid an extended absence and get back to contributing. Golden State's next game is on Monday against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Jonathan Kuminga's Warriors tenure at crossroads after career high. On Friday night, the Warriors went into Los Angeles to face the feisty Clippers without both Stephen Curry and Draymond Green. Naturally, this was a formula for disaster for the Dubs, who rely so heavily on Curry and Green for both their production and leadership. Despite Jonathan Kuminga's career-high 34 points on 19 shots, Golden State was dominated in the third quarter, and LA staved off a furious comeback attempt in the fourth quarter to snag a 10-point victory. Jonathan Kuminga's Warriors tenure at crossroads after career high. Kuminga's career high increased trade value. With the Warriors now sitting at 15-15 after a tremendous 12-3 flurry to begin the season, talks have intensified around the organization, making one or more huge moves before the deadline to change the structure of the franchise. This could happen in the form of an all-in trades to infuse talent into the roster. Alternatively, this could cause the organization to blow up the current group and start over from scratch. Unless the Dubs want to trade away their franchise cornerstones in Curry and Green, it is unlikely that they will look to rebuild. They owe Curry, Green, Steve Kerr, and Warriors fans another chance at legitimate championship contention. So, where does Kuminga fit into this equation? The 22-year-old has had a nice season statistically, averaging 16.1 points and 4.8 rebounds in just 25.9 minutes per night. However, Kuminga has shown his youthful inexperience far too often for Kerr's liking. The young forward's efficiency has dripped drastically this year, from 59.8% true shooting percent in his first 3 seasons to just 52.3% in his fourth campaign. He has yet to develop a consistent three-point shot and struggles at the free throw line, making him a tough fit in Golden State's pace and space offensive system. Regardless, after a career-high night, more teams may look into acquiring Kuminga. Conflict between Kerr and Kuminga. Speaking of their ball and player movement offensive game, Kuminga has struggled to learn how Kerr wants him to play to integrate himself into the team. Instead, he has tried to force the action with his incredible athleticism and talent to score on his own terms against set defenses, and he simply doesn't have the skill or experience necessary to be effective as an isolation scorer. He is also a poor off-ball defender due to inattentiveness and lack of focus despite the ridiculous athleticism he possesses. This dynamic has been extremely damaging to the Warriors' season, and Kerr has called out Kuminga several times in the media for his shot selection. What is Kuminga's trade value? Critics have defended Kuminga, arguing that Kerr's inability to develop young players stems from his veteran-first mentality and inability to allow his guys to grow through making mistakes. Unfortunately, Kuminga has had 3 seasons of legitimate playing time to improve his decision-making on both sides of the floor and has shown little signs of doing so. The Warriors don't have the time to wait for him to meet his potential, with Curry nearing the end of his superstar play. This is why their 2 timelines approach has failed and set the organization back significantly. Luckily, Kuminga still has great value on the trade market because he is a freshly turned 22-year-old brimming with upside. Notably, he will become a restricted free agent after this season. Standing at 6'8" with some of the best athletic tools in the league, he just needs a place where he can learn to harness his gifts on both ends of the floor without the pressure of an NBA legend's career on the line. As we saw over the summer, Kuminga was featured prominently in trade talks for stars such as Lauri Markkanen. However, Golden State was unwilling to part ways with him and Brandon Podziemski. Podziemski's value has cratered after a slow start to this year. Nevertheless, a trade package surrounding those two, Andrew Wiggins, and draft compensation could allow the Warriors to land a star. Ultimately, it would be best for both sides to move on.